Hey guys, my name is John Spier, the owner operator of Spier Electric LLC here in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I hope you guys are having a great day. And today, what I got for you is the B.O.S.S. Now, that stands for the Business Owners System Sheet that Spier Electric created for business owners and experienced and non experienced maintenance crew. So, what we want to do is basically I'm going to go through this little list and kind of tell you just generally what to look for and how to fill this thing out, and we can go from there. If you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to leave a comment below or go on our website www. That was too many W's. www.spierelectric.com, and that'll be posted down below as well. So let's just jump right into it. So in the very first section, what I would hope that you guys would do is just, if you have multiple locations or what have you, the date's really important so you can kind of keep an ongoing record of what you're doing, and that makes things, a lot easier when you're sifting through, documentation, and you can scan. Pro tip is just to scan it, put it in a separate folder, put it in there, and you basically have a electrical maintenance log, which is very helpful for, if the problem does come up, you can definitely give us a call and we'd be more than happy to assist you in that matter. But you would start off with the date, your company, and the location. Pretty simple. And then as far as the checklist goes, inspect all lights for burnt out bulbs or flickering. And you'll be able to easily tell if, that light is not as bright as that light. It's probably a burnt bulb, or if it's flickering, that'll be easy to tell. Check all emergency lights. So, on your emergency light situation, there's going to be a little button at the very bottom of your exit or emergency light, and it'll test it. And the lights turn on, it's good still. Means that the internal battery is good to go. So you're good to go. But if it doesn't turn on, then you know that your light's bad and possibly the battery's bad and needs to be replaced. In turn, give us a call. We'd be happy to help. Check all your outlets for discoloration, heat, or loose connections. So that's just checking your outlets. Um, if you have white outlets, if they're a little yellow, it's probably because they're overheating. And um, in most cases, what we find is that if you have one of those like heating pads or possibly like a little heater for under your desk, those tend to take a lot of juice, and they're not usually made with like the best type of stuff. So it ends up overheating your system, tripping the breaker, making the plug unnecessarily hot, and in turn, that plug needs to be replaced. Another thing is that they're really loose. You know, it's time to replace, because basically it's just like a little pincher for your plug, and when you pinch it, and then you do it so many times, that gap gets wider and wider and wider. So, just like anything that gets overused, you gotta change it out, replace it, and things like that. Verify that all GFCIs in the kitchens, bathrooms, and outdoor areas are functioning. That's not too bad. There's a little red button on it usually that says, test, and you test that. And then right below that is a reset button. Press that, that comes back on. Good to go. If not, the mechanism inside the GFCI is broken. So, easy peasy. check out your extension cords. That's important. People run over them, step on them, you know, go through them with lifts, dollies, the whole nine. So just make sure that you don't have any loose wires hanging out or anything like that. And, if you do, that's a simple replacement, but, it can definitely save you from a lifelong damage and unnecessary, you know, unnecessary medical bills that need to happen, especially if you're a business owner. You know, check if you have overloaded power strips, daisy chain power strips. So, rule of thumb is do not put multiple power strips a uh, on a single circuit. It's the it's the quickest way to pop that circuit. It's the quickest way to do internal damage. I would suggest not doing it, in my personal opinion. Let's see. Review any recently tripped breakers. That's pretty simple. In your panel, you'll look at it, and then all of the breakers should be like either phoned in or phoned out, depending on what type of panel you have, signifying on or off. You know, and if any of them are in the middle of the on and off, that means it's tripped. Um, and that requires further investigation. And usually would give us a call, help you out. We can do a thermal investigation without even opening up your panel. We can do a full bore, take a look at it, test the circuitry. There's a gamut of things that you know we have the tools and capability of doing. Ensure that your electrical rooms are free of clutter. So, as an electrician, this is possibly one of those things that, I'm a stickler about, but it is extraordinarily important that your electrical room is clean and doesn't have a lot of debris in it. But also, this is just like a little pro tip. What I would suggest doing at all businesses, big or small, is to get some masking tape or some duct tape or even some paint if you have that capability, and do 3 feet in front of the panel, and then about as wide as the panels. Most of them are about like 22 to 24 inches wide, and 3 feet in front of it, you got yourself like a little, almost like a little work zone, and that'll keep it free and clear. If anything does happen, the electrician has accessibility to it. It's a perfect situation for us to come in, take a look at your panel safely without moving any of your stuff, and it's already kind of like a no-go zone. Like, as a business owner, that's what I would suggest to do. For any and all panels, transformers, larger gear, larger equipment, just put like a little 3 foot barrier around it. So if anything needs to happen, even regularly scheduled maintenance, the people that are going to be doing it have the proper clearance to actually work in it. Let's see. Check mechanical and HVAC, electrical connections. Every once in a while, there's like a fuse that's popped or whatever. And obviously, if you guys don't feel comfortable, you'll know if your HVAC's not working because it'll be either hot or cold depending on the season. So you're gonna call us anyway, or call a HVAC team or whoever, but you'll know that one right away. And then if you have any UPS, it's good to test those things, make sure those things are operating the way that they need to be operating, and maybe do like a soft shutdown. So when you do just shut down power, you can see the UPS kick on, run for a couple minutes, and turn permanent power back on. Same thing with generators. Just it's good to exercise them, test them, you know, do all that fun little maintenance with them. And then, verify all your outdoor enclosures are weather tight and secured. And usually you'll see like on the disconnects, which are little gray boxes with a red handle, you'll see like a weather stripping, and that's frayed or whatnot. And then out of that disconnect, the one with the handle, there's like a whip or a little gray tube that goes into it, and usually the Albuquerque sun, it's gonna beat it up. Very standard, very normal. Those things do got to get replaced every once in a while, and it's not all the time. It's you know 5 years down the road, but they do need to be replaced, and it's it's better to catch it early than have an emergency later on. You know, no one likes to be on the roof you know at 100-degree weather, right? It's just simple. The second section is going to be more for like more for you guys and keeping track of what you have and whatnot. So on the electrical panel and equipment inventory, you're going to put your panel ID, which is what you call that panel, if it's the back of house or LA or HA or whatever designation that you have for it. That's what that would be, the location that's at. Electrical room, maintenance room, voltage. It's important. And when you open up the panel on the door, there'll be a list of information. But like on the dead front, which is the very front where you see all the breakers, the very top, there'll be typically, not saying all the time, but typically at the very top, there is all the information for your voltage, phases, amps, and other notes. Equipment. It's always good to have and know what kind of equipment you have and what kind of electrical services that you need. And all this is very helpful for the next guy down the road, right? And then notes and maintenance log. So if you identified any issues and then you took any actions of that, like if something was to happen in the future and you had this log and you handed it to us and be like, hey, this is what I looked at, that's important for us to know, because then we can eliminate that cause right away and move on to something and be in and out of your hair quicker. So all of that stuff is super important. And then, because a sheet wouldn't be complete without some safety tips. Only qualified personnel is allowed to open up panels, which in the state of New Mexico, that is a EE98J, which is, any general contractor or electrical contractor should have a EE98, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the owner has a EE98J, which signifies that they are a journeyman electrician. So it's important to have a journeyman electrician open up a live panel in that case, or a dead panel. Schedule a licensed electrician annually for a deeper inspection. And this also kind of goes hand in hand with if you have a factory or something, there's a lot of dust going around. Like, you want to clean those panels as much as you can, because the dust does is it kind of there's a lot of electricity going in, and the dust kind of just collects, and then once it touches, and so it's good to clean your panel every once in a while as well. But you shouldn't do it. That's where a professional like us would come in and help you with that. Schedule it at an appropriate time. It doesn't affect your business. And then this is important to us, but it makes your life easier as well, is to label all your electrical equipment with the breaker attached to it. So if this is, let's just say, condensing unit number one, right? You would want it to be CU number one that goes to panel HA circuits 33, 35, 37. And then there is no looking around for that. There's no testing breakers. It's just HA 35, 37, 39. Boop. Turn it off. Good to go. And then, just our contact information of myself, John Spier, and then Dylan Gustafson, which is going to be our service coordinator. I'd be happy to assist you in any format. I would like to thank you guys for watching this. I really appreciate it. Any comments or concerns or questions, you let me know. I'd be happy to answer it. At Spier Electric, we definitely are trying to help the community um, by being your go-to electrician, but also help you be better about owning a business on the maintenance side. Make your life a little bit easier as well. So if you guys ever need anything, please give us a call. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great day. Be safe.